What's going on, guys? Super excited to bring this video out to you guys about how I launch products. I did a video, I don't know, 6 or 7 months ago, very similar to this. I'm going to share my screen and kind of make a campaign live. Not an actual campaign, but just to kind of show you, how I set up the ad sets and, what budgets I use for different situations and all that. So I'm going to pull up my screen right now. Sorry that I'm not looking in the camera because I got my laptop right here. You should be able to see the screen. So basically, this is just a dummy ad account that I have. I'm going to basically create a campaign for you so that you can see how I set up the ad sets, what I optimize for, every little specific piece. So starting off the bat, let's say you have, you found your product, you got the video, you have ad copy, we're gonna assume that you already have all that stuff, and we're just gonna focus on the ad set part of it and also a little bit of choosing interests. So I'm gonna come up here and click the green button, create. Now, most people create their campaigns using guided creation. I personally don't. I personally like using quick creation because I can just kind of make a campaign. So usually for the name of the campaign, I'll put the name of the product, right? So just to keep things organized, and if you test like 5 or 6 products, you can just look at it and right away you know what you're looking at. So what I'll do here is optimize for conversions. With e-commerce, I always optimize for conversions. I never, I know a lot of people do that whole engagement and then they move into lookalikes down the road. I never do that. I have tested it in the past and it's just like, it's not for me. But this is pretty much it for creating the actual campaign. Just name the campaign and then set this to conversions. And that's about it. You also have CBO here and split testing. I don't do split testing, and I actually haven't tested much with split testing at all. And CBOs, I do use CBOs, but only for scaling like you'd see in my past video. But I do not use CBOs for testing. So we're just gonna leave it on normal budgets, and what I'm gonna do is just click save to draft. So now this is saved to draft, which means, I can walk away from my computer and, my computer can shut down and it'll still be here. It basically saves it on your computer, which is why I like this, doing this as opposed to guided creation, which I'm pretty sure that with guided creation you can save it to the draft, but I actually when I started doing this you couldn't. I think they added it as a new feature, so I just stick to doing it the way that I know. So here you see that we have the campaign name, the ad set, and the ad. So like I said, we're basically gonna assume that you already have an ad, right? Like you already have your video and your ad copy. Basically all you do is just go click one ad on the top and then go put in your page post. Pretty simple. I shouldn't have to show how to do that. But one thing I do want to say is sometimes if I'm testing a product using images, I'll always try to do, like, let's say 4 images, and then I'll do a carousel, or I'll do 4 ads or 5 ads total, 4 of them being single image ads and then 1 of them being a carousel with all 4 of those images in one ad. So if you don't know what a carousel is, just go into the page post and select carousel, and you can put multiple images or videos on the post. Basically what you want to do is, if you don't have a pixel yet, just create one. Like I said, this is a dummy account, so I'm not going to do it, but basically there'll be a little red box here that you want to put in. In that box, you want to put in purchase, right? Because I don't optimize for anything other than purchases. Because purchases is what I want, and I want Facebook knowing that. So I don't optimize for add to cart. I know some people also do that. Not something that I do. Yes, I have done it in the past, and it never really worked that good for me. Definitely not better than optimizing for purchase. This brings us to talking about budgets. Like what kind of budget should you use? And in my opinion, this kind of depends on the margin of the product, or not really the margin, but how much you're selling it for. Kind of a blanket statement for me is like, if it costs, or if you're selling it for under $50, then $5 budgets is plenty. Actually, $5 budgets are plenty for any price, to be honest, but it's a little bit slow. So let's say like under $50, I usually do $5 a day budgets, unless it's like a bigger margin. If it's between 50 and 100, I'll probably do either $10 or $15 budgets, depending on how much you're willing to risk or how confident you are in the product. The only time that I ever really do $20 budgets is if I'm selling a product that's like 150, 200 bucks. Which honestly I don't do that much, so most of the time I just stick between $5 and $15 a day budgets. Just when testing, right? Like you can always test higher and lower down the line, but just when testing, in my opinion, this is all that you need. So, for this example, let's just pop in $10. One thing that I always do that a lot of people don't do, and personally, I don't think it matters too much. Like if you don't do this, I don't think it'll make or break your campaign, but I have had it happen a lot of times where, if your ad publishes at like, let's say 5 a.m., it won't get approved until like 11 p.m. And then essentially it'll spend your whole budget in like an hour and I basically just schedule it so that it increases the chance of it spending, you know, more equal throughout the day on its first day. You know, kind of just a habit of mine. Like I said, doesn't matter too much. Like, it's not gonna make or break your campaigns. You know, if you don't schedule it, there's a possibility it'll just rush to spend your money on the first day, depending on what time you make it. For the location, you know, end date, obviously I don't set an end date. Custom audiences, I'm not doing that right now. Locations, honestly, you can do whatever you want. Like, I know some people prefer to target e-packet countries. Some people do, you know, 4 top tier countries. Some people do 1 country. Like myself with my ad agency strategy, we're only targeting 1 country in that. Or you could just do worldwide and make exclusions. I don't want to be super specific here because I kind of want you to be your own judge. Like, whatever you want to target, whatever you're comfortable doing. I think the main benefit of worldwide, to me at least, and I personally do worldwide and I have a little list that I exclude, is basically more people are going to see your ads. So if it is a winning product, it's going to make a few more sales. Even if it's in a horrible country where you can't ship to or it's too expensive to ship to, your ads are still getting that first bit of momentum in the beginning. And usually if you have a good pixel and a good ad account, it'll end up optimizing for the decent countries anyways. But, you know, the downside to worldwide is that, you know, you might get a sale from a country that you can't ship to, or you might get a lot of fraud orders. But I mean, fraud orders could happen either way. With e-packet countries, the biggest benefit is, you know, when you do find a winner, shipping is not really going to be your issue, which is a pretty good benefit, because I've had winners that, you know, you just get sales in weird countries and it becomes a big problem. So it's a decent benefit. I understand why people do it. Bad thing is CPMs are usually higher, which necessarily is not a bad thing. It's more about, you know, how much it costs to get a purchase. But it's something to keep in mind. You know, you won't get as many clicks or people seeing your ad. Which, like I said, doesn't matter too much. Another downside is, in my experience, the more options that Facebook has, the better it'll optimize. Just because I feel like it blasts it out to a bunch of people and then comes back with data, and then it starts narrowing it down throughout the days or even throughout the hours. So the more you restrict Facebook, the less it does good. But, you know, at the same time, I've had a bunch of winners on worldwide, and I've had a bunch of winners targeting e-packet countries. I've had a bunch of winners targeting 1 country. So, you know, these are all just sort of blanket statements, just things to keep in mind. That's why I'm not telling you to do it a specific way, because, you know, it'll work. If you have a good product, it doesn't matter too much what you're doing. Just stuff that you should keep in mind. Age, there's a couple exceptions. If you're selling alcohol related products, like even if it's not alcohol, if it's just something that can be used next to alcohol, always target 25 and up. And there's a couple extra countries that you have to exclude as well, which you can find those on the ad policy page. But other than that, I always like to keep it on 18 plus. I don't like going lower than 18, and I don't like, I want the max amount of people to be able to see it as possible. So same thing with gender, I just leave gender. Languages, I don't really put in a language. Like 99% of the time, I just leave this blank. Detailed targeting, we'll get into that in a minute. Placements, usually there's some exceptions here. Like sometimes I'll do stories, like I'll leave stories on, but most of the time I'll just do this here and just leave it on Facebook newsfeed and Instagram feed, and I'll do all devices. I don't check off the Wi-Fi button, and I do all mobile devices. It's all just myths, you know, people saying that you have to do this shit. Like, I get it if down the line, you know, you have a winner and everybody who buys is buying on Wi-Fi only, and Facebook is spending money on people that aren't connected to Wi-Fi. I could see why you would want to narrow down by only people who are on Wi-Fi, so that Facebook doesn't continue to waste money there. But if you're just testing, just shut the hell up and let Facebook do its thing. Like, don't try to be a smart ass, like, oh, people only buy when they're on Wi-Fi, because no, it's fucking bullshit. Like, you don't know what you're talking about, okay? Maybe for your like 3 or 4 stores that you've taken to 6 figures, most of the sales were from people on Wi-Fi. But look, there's people out there who have grown, you know, 50 plus stores to 6 figures that know that's complete garbage. So just leave everything as broad as possible. You know, this is good. You know, don't try to get smart. That's a good point to bring up, because all that you're doing is testing. You're not supposed to know, you know, what gender, what age. You're not supposed to know this stuff, so don't try to guess it. Just leave it broad. Conversion window, I always leave it on 7 days click or 1 day view when testing. The only time when I change it is if you're doing $50 ad set budgets or more, then I do recommend that you do 1 day click or view. That's it. If you're doing anything under $50 a day, you don't need it. Just leave it on 7 days click. So that's the basic setup of the ad set structure. Now going into interests, I'll talk a little bit about this right now. basically let's assume that we're going to be doing like a fitness product, right? So I say like the push-up board. Like, you guys know what the push-up board is. I'll pop a picture of it up right here. Basically helps you do like push-ups and stuff. So we'll assume that this campaign is the push-up board campaign. Different things that I'll target is right off the bat, I always try to go common sense, right? Like, target the most obvious thing that you can think of. Don't try to get complicated with this. And what is the first thing that I think of is push-up, right? Like, if people are interested in doing push-ups, they're definitely in the market for this product. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll name the ad set push-up. I only do one interest per ad set. Whether you want to do engaged shoppers or not, you know, narrowing down by engaged shoppers or not is completely up to you. Personally, I don't really do it anymore, but you know, you can do whatever you want. It honestly doesn't really matter. It'll do good without it. It'll do good with it. So what you'll do from here is literally just duplicate it. And now we're going to go into building out the actual structure of the campaign. So best thing to do in terms of the audiences, just put in the most obvious thing that you can in the first ad set, and then when you duplicate, click suggestions. It'll give you a bunch of really good options. So here we have bench press. Like, of course, you know, most of these interests are going to be exactly what you need, right? Because they're going to be based on the most common sense one. One thing I do want to bring up while we're doing this, and I don't have a location in, so it's not actually showing me the potential reach, but in terms of audience sizes, completely ignore anybody that says that audience sizes matter, because this was a theory from like 2.5 years ago that I think was sort of relevant then. Not even though, because it's more about what you're targeting, and it's you know, the size of it doesn't matter at all. Like, I think when I first got started, people used to say that, you know, it mattered because Facebook optimized better with bigger audiences, you know, whatever, which, you know, could be true. But like, after the literal thousands of interests that I've targeted, I've never, ever noticed a correlation between the size and the performance. Like, I've had audiences of 1 billion people perform really well, and I've had audiences of 20,000 people perform really well. Sure, 20,000 people doesn't really scale that good, but if it's a really good interest, target it so that you can get some sales rolling in, right? Like, just get some momentum in the beginning. Like, you're just testing here. You know, stop overcomplicating things. So, you know, we can do this. Basically, choose all your interests, right? So we're doing the push-up board, so these are just all gonna be fitness interests. So I don't want to waste your time here, so I'm basically just going to duplicate this. How many we got? 4 more times. And let's assume that I have a different interest in each ad set, right? So I'm not actually going to do it because I don't want to waste your guys' time, and the interests don't actually matter. I just wanted to go on my little spiel about them. But usually what I'll do is a total of 7 ad sets. A lot of people ask me, why 7, why not 10? Like, look, if you want to do 10, just do 10. Like, don't comment in the comment section talking about, like, can I do, like, what happens if I want to do 20 ads? Like, just do it, okay? It doesn't really matter. I think 7 is the perfect number because it's all that you really need, right? Like, it's enough variety and interest. It's enough spend to really test a product. So, you know, if you want to do 10, just do 10. It really doesn't matter too much. And I know that the more you do, the higher the chance of finding a winner. But also, the more that you do it, the more that you'll spend, right? Like, the more ad sets you make, the more that you'll spend. And personally, I think if you're going to spend $100 per product that you test, which is what I try to do, it's better to let 7 ad sets run for 2 days than it is to let 20 ad sets run for a day or a half a day, depending on what budgets you're using. You know, this is the basic structure of the campaign. Like I said, you can have like multiple ads under each ad set, you know, whatever. We didn't do any of that in this video because I wanted to show you the basic structure of the ad set and the campaign. But yeah, so basically all you do is just publish this and let it run. For the analyzing thing, hopefully I'll have a new video coming out soon where I go more in depth onto how I actually analyze these campaigns. Make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss on, you know, good updated content that I'm putting out. Because once you launch this, you're going to have to know what to do. You know, when do you kill it? When do you start the scaling process? How do you decide if it's a winner or not? You know, there's a lot of things that I'm not going to go into in this video because it would just be far too long. And I wanted to keep this to a specific subject. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys liked it. Like I said, leave a like and subscribe for more videos. I really appreciate it, and it helps promote the channel. You know how YouTube is they just, you know, the more likes it gets, the more subscriber it gets, the more people they show the video to. And the more people seeing my videos is the more people making money and seeing success with e-commerce. So I really appreciate it, and people just like you also appreciate it. So hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.